not to mind him as he is in a bad mood and wants to chop something. Ryuachin asks him why he is walking while cutting things around. He is like a kid who loses his temper. He replies they do not need to care about him. Suddenly, he notices movement in the bushes and a giant snake appears. But Ryuachin punches it using the Heaven Devil Dragon Punch and beats it. He tells others to be alert as they have a lot of monsters, so they must be careful. Yunmu says he had not seen him for a few days and he got better a lot than before. He thinks that this place is excellent for the shadow spirits to train. He asks the system to resurrect numbers 1 and 2. The system uses 2,000 experience points and successfully revives shadow spirits. Yunmu is looking at those broken pages. The words on them do not look like human writing. He thinks only ghosts will understand this. He doubts if his 5 million has gone wasted. Ryuachin tells him to stop looking at that thing in a daze. The meat is done cooking, and they ask him to come and eat. He puts that paper aside and says he is coming, but a monkey steals it from there. But Yunmu captures him doing so. Yunmu asks him to be good and give the thing in his hands to Yunmu, but the monkey slaps him with his tail and runs from there. Yunmu gets angry and runs after him. Ryuachin looks at him and says if he is not coming, they will not wait for him. He asks how old he is, seeing that he still plays with monkeys. Yunmu is chasing after the monkey and reaches near a water fountain. He throws his blade to threaten him, and it works. The monkey surrenders and leaves the page there. Yunmu picks it up and says the monkey can run away now as he just got what he wanted. He sees the monkey going behind the waterfall. He is surprised to see what he is going through. He goes behind the waterfall and finds a cave there. It is so dark here. He lights a torch to look clearly. The cave is bottomless and does not look like made by nature. He thinks that one monkey can't make a cave like this. He keeps going down and finds a shadow of a man. He goes there and asks him if he is okay. He asks him where this place is and why he is now. The man is still in the dark, but he is shocked to see that it's the skull of a dead person and starts screaming in fear. He calms himself and notices that the person has died for long. He sees a ball placed near the skeleton and wonders what it is. He crawls there to pick it up, thinking it might be a good thing and it is useless to the dead person anymore. But suddenly, someone attacks him from behind. That thing crushes his face with its feet. Yunmu is hurt and annoyed. He looks at that thing and finds it is a flexible gorilla. He wears his mask again. Yunmu asks him why he suddenly hit Yunmu, but then he realizes he cannot speak, so there is no point in asking. The gorilla goes again and hits Yunmu using his martial arts. Yunmu knows this technique of Tongbei punch and wonders where he learned it from. He is not stopping and rushes again to attack. Yunmu draws out his blade to attack. He waves it and tells him not to look down on humans, but the gorilla jumps and escapes his attack. Yunmu tries to use the thunderclap technique, but his blade gets stuck in the rock. The gorilla keeps hitting the boy. He is smashed against the rocks. His knives will not work inside the cave. He asks the shadows to come out. The system reminds him that he has sent shadows to hunt, and it will take 2 hours to recall them. Yunmu realizes that it is his time to die. The gorilla attacks him again, and an explosion takes place there. But when the smoke clears, Yunmu comes out safe. He almost forgot that he had the defensive techniques. Then he kicks the gorilla's face as it is his turn to attack. It gets smashed into the rocks. Yunmu attacks again, as it is not over now. But the gorilla blocks it and pushes him back. Yunmu admits that the gorilla's physical skills are vital. He wonders where he learned it from. His defense is good, too, and Yunmu cannot see an opening to attack. He tries a back kick, and it eventually works. This attack breaks the mask, and the gorilla falls back. But Yunmu is stunned to see him getting up again, even though Yunmu used much of his strength on that kick. Suddenly, the gorilla starts releasing a high-strength string, but the cave cannot stand such power and starts falling. Yunmu asks the gorilla to stop fighting, otherwise they will die here together. But instead of running out, the gorilla runs towards the skeleton of the old man. Yunmu is surprised to see that it is trying to protect the skeleton. As its speed is slow, Yunmu grabs him and throws him outside as it is already hurt, and there is no point in forcing himself. Then he lifts the skeleton. He asks the gorilla to go out first. The gorilla makes its way through the water and jumps out. As soon as he goes out, the cave falls. He did not sit idle and removed the stones to clear the way. Suddenly, he sees Yunmu punching the stones and making a way out. He has brought out the skeleton safe and sound. The gorilla is happy and dancing in joy, but Yunmu cannot understand his chatter. He thinks of an idea. He calls the Raven King and asks him to help Yunmu understand the gorilla by translating his language. The gorilla speaks, and the king translates it for Yunmu. He says that these bones belong to his master. He was like a friend to him and never treated him like a pet. He taught him martial arts and told him how to use string force. They were inseparable. A few years ago, the master wanted to practice a technique with all his heart, so he came to this sparsely populated area. Everything was pretty good at first, but when the master was about to succeed, he was beaten back by the exercises. The master had regrets before his death, and he believed that someone could practice this technique. Now, he hopes he can help the master fulfill his wish. He has been staying here waiting for a capable and destined person. Just when he was about to give up, Yunmu showed up. He requests Yunmu to accept his offer. Yunmu asks why it is him. The gorilla replies that it is because Yunmu is strong enough. He can feel that Yunmu is not as simple as ordinary crystal. He is suppressing his level. Moreover, at the expense of his own life, he must help the gorilla rescue the remains of his master. He has seen Yunmu's benevolence, so he is requesting him. Yunmu finally agrees and promises him that he will help. But first, he wants to see the Kaoyang Great Gong. The gorilla asks him shockingly if he wants to practice now. Yunmu replies that he does. He thinks that the gorilla must also want to see what this technique is like. However, the gorilla is confused and thinks that the master failed in a few months, and it is not conceded that Yunmu wants to practice in a short time. But his eyes tell that he is serious. Yunmu asks the system to scan the ball. It tells him that the Kaoyang Great Flame Art can absorb the essence of the sun and the moon to lay down the Great Flame Sun-killing array with the power of a single player, and obtain the Phoenix Divine Power. However, the technique has flaws. Yunmu is surprised and asks what that means. The system replies that this method has errors at the time of creation, so in theory, this method cannot be completed by cultivation. If Yunmu practices this method forcibly on the right, the person who is about to become a man will go crazy and die. Yunmu asks the system if there is any way it can complete it. It replies that Yunmu can redeem the Great Day Golden Crow decision, the Blood Supreme Tyrant Body decision, and the Easy Tendon Cleansing decision so that his flesh and blood can withstand this exercise. Yunmu tells the system first to exchange those three methods in practice. The system takes the command. Yunmu staggers after that. The system notifies him that he has learned the Great Day Golden Crow decision, the Blood Supreme Tyrant Body decision, and the Easy Tendon Cleansing decision. After that, he brags and says he will now let them see the great flame of Kaoyang with their own eyes. He throws the ball up in the sky and then jumps after it. The energy starts penetrating his body. As he absorbs all of it, a flaming phoenix appears around him. Yunmu has finally attained the great flame power of Kaoyang. The gorilla is being emotional after seeing his master's dream come true. The gorilla thanks Yunmu for letting him see Kaoyang's great flame art and accompanying him to say goodbye to the master. Yunmu replies that it is okay with him. He says he also respects seniors. He thinks that the master risked his life to death to practice the exercises because he wanted to leave something for future generations. In this way, he can leave without regret, and the regrets of his predecessors no longer bind the gorilla. The gorilla replies that Yunmu is a good person, and they are friends from now on. He gifts two things to Yunmu. He takes it and asks what these things are. The gorilla replies that he does not know what is in that little bottle, but the owner attaches great importance to it. The sign is a token that can prove the identity of the owner. Yunmu can take it, too. Then he says goodbye and asks Yunmu to take care of himself. After the gorilla leaves, Yunmu looks at the glass bottle and wonders what is there. It seems like blood. Suddenly, the ground around him starts burning. The flame keeps rising and takes the face of a phoenix. Yunmu is glad and says it is incredible seeing this. He takes his hand forward to touch it, but suddenly, Xing hits him in the back of his head. He asks him what he is doing here alone. He has been looking for him for a long time. Yunmu is still stunned and asks Xing to look in the direction where he saw the phoenix, but he does not find anything there. Yunmu wonders if he was just hallucinating a moment ago. Xing tells him to let go as it is not safe to act here alone. Over the past month, under the leadership of Yunmu, they have been fighting with dimensional beasts, and their strength has been growing. Yuoji and Xing have entered the ranks of the Golden Crystal String Layer. Even in the lower tier city, Kai was forcibly smashed into a string by the things Yunmu kept sending. Yunmu also arranged for him to be his housekeeper at his Qinglong Star General Mansion. Only Yunmu was unwilling to be promoted and reminded at the level of the common crystal stringer. However, he successfully condensed a third shadow spirit and named it number 3. This one is a female shadow. It is departure time. Xing asks Yunmu if he is ready to leave. He replies yes. They all advise him to be careful on the road. He bids goodbye and tells them not to worry about him. He will go to the Tower of Glory, get the holy instruments, and return. He instructs them to keep practicing and wait for the news of his triumph. When he reaches Sunset Town's frontier fortress, he is shocked to find that the transmission array is under repair. Uncle Wu tells him that it stipulates that long-distance and cross-level transmission is prohibited. Yunmu is disappointed to hear that. Wu tells him there is a problem with the equipment, which is a cover for maintenance. He saw it with his own eyes the other day that a teleporter was devoured by cruelty. Then he received the order to prohibit transmission and didn't let him tell it. He is afraid something big is going to happen in this string world. He would better quit his job and return to his home. Hearing this, Yunmu gives Uncle Wu something. He says that if he wishes, he can use this token to go to the Qinglong Star General Mansion to find a housekeeper named Jiang Kai. He will give Wu a high-paying job and relatively safe. He can also take his family with him. Wu thanks him for his generosity. He says that Yunmu can go to Vega City first. There is an independent transmission array there. He can try his luck there. He reaches Vega City and makes a long face when he sees that the lord of this city has put her statue at the city's gate. Suddenly, a girl comes there and asks him if someone wants to invite him to have a seat. Yunmu sits in the car with that girl. He recalls that Uncle Wu told him the lord of Vega City was looking for him. He said she is a legend. She was just an ordinary woman who made money by weaving. By chance, the string force awakened in her, and she eventually grew into a warrior. As a war saint, she did not forget her laborious days. She named herself Vega War Saintess, and the city was renamed Vega City by her. Vega is the most friendly city among the 7 main cities in Zhongzhou, and the city owners are naturally very much loved. Yunmu asks the girl what the Lord of Dignified War Saintess Vega City will do to find him. She replies that the city lord has her consideration. He will know when he arrives. She brings him to the lord, who is taking a bath. She orders that girl to go and have a rest. Yunmu looks at her from the back and wonders if she is the real lord of Vega City and a war saintess. She is the strongest human he has ever seen. She tells him that she can feel it from his sting force that he is not the bloodline of the Saint of War. Yunmu is shocked that even by feeling the string force, she can tell that his bloodline of the war saint is fake. She says that the young star general is a hero, but it is so unexpected for her that he is a teenager. He asks politely why she is looking for him. She asks him if he knows about Quanyushan. He replies that he does. It is a competition between young talents from 6 continents. Every 3 years, each continent sends 2 or 3 people to fight. The continent in the front can get more resource allocation. The guild recommends the candidates for war. The selected people are usually the children of aristocratic families. She says that she hopes it will be on the battle list this time that he can see his name. He is surprised to hear that. He says it is not his turn to do this kind of thing. She says that the weather conditions this year are relatively special, and the Earth's energy has undergone abnormalities. She is afraid that there will be significant changes in the near future. Yunmu thinks if it is true, then it is no wonder there is a problem with the teleportation array. She adds that this year, to prepare for the future, the World String Players Association wants to select outstanding strong players. There will be no limit to the number of people in the world battle this year. She and Yunmu are both ordinary people. She is very optimistic about him and believes he can bring good results to mainland China. He thinks it sounds like a lot of trouble. It is not in his plan at all. She stands up from her chair and says she will give him time to think about it. She orders her servant to take the young star general to the teleportation array. Yunmu reaches the Toe of Glory and is puzzled to see the rush of people there. He wonders why there are so many people around the door. He does not know what's going on, so it is better to keep a low profile. He hears 2 boys talking. One of them asks who he put a bet on. The other replies that he put it in Ling Shuang as she is the only disciple of the swordsman known as a human weapon, and she has a strong Mon power. Yunmu calls them and asks what has happened here and why so many people are gathered around the gate. The other guy asks if he does not know such a big thing. He tells him that not long ago, Yi King of the Chaosian sect challenged Yunmu with a high profile. It was announced that he would reach the 70th floor of the Tower of Glory before Yunmu and get the rewards inside. When the other players heard the news, they could not still sit, and they had to pass through the 70th floor faster than King to enter the tower. Yunmu wonders why he does not know that he is being challenged. He opens the tab and finds it is all over the internet, which he hardly uses. Those boys add that all those people had entered the tower yesterday, but Yunmu never showed up. The curly-haired guy says his face looks a bit familiar. Yunmu covers it and says he must have made a mistake. He is a public face. He thinks he must hurry up. He enters the tower and sees some people on the 20th floor. He decides to do his best and calls his army. People are being desperate outside the tower. They have been there for 2 days, and still there is no observable movement in rankings. After some time, the ranking shows King is on the 45th floor. With time, their excitement increased as other players started moving up the ranks. The men who have bet on specific players are waiting for them to end it first. 3 days later, people are standing there holding their breath as the players are almost in the last stages. A few people notice that hundreds came here from the Chaotian sect. They are worried that even if some other player takes the lead through the 70th floor, the Chaotian sect will not let him go. It seems that this time the Chaotian sect is bound to get the sacred ware on the 70th floor. King and 3 more players are on the 70th floor for 5 hours. Everyone is waiting for the champion to appear. Inside the tower, King is fighting a giant purple octopus monster. This floor is tough to pass for him, but he is relaxed as if it is difficult for him. It means it is almost impossible for the other players. It is different for people like him, who have been trained as crystal strings, and people like Shuang and Jiang, who have been forcibly downgraded back to string. He attacks the octopus eye with a fireball. His attack works, and the monster starts attacking him blindly. He is glad as he thinks he is the winner. With this, he keeps attacking. Suddenly, the tower announces that Lai Yunmu, from mainland China, has successfully passed the 70th floor of the Tower of Glory. This news is shocking for King, and he loses his concentration. The monster attacks him, and he gets smashed into the rocks. While bleeding, he still wonders about the news, thinking he is the strongest crystal stringer here. On the other side, Shuang receives the same news. She is glad to know that he joined the challenge and won it as well. She calls him a monster who has grown to this point in a few months. People outside from different sects are stunned to receive the news of victory, and wonder when Yunmu entered the tower. It is unbelievable to them that he is the first to pass the 70th level. Yunmu gets out of the tower. They look at him with weird expressions as, for them, this guy cannot be the one to get the sacrament through the canopy first. Yunmu thinks that he has hidden his ranking already, so how could there be an announcement? Suddenly someone tells him to take a break, creating a great flame around him. He looks at that formation and irritatingly asks if they think him a worm. He tells them to cover him with a hood if they have nothing else to do. The Northern Elder from the Chaotian sect tells him to have over the 2 sacred artifacts he has won, and they will not embarrass him. As a transaction, they will also give him the corresponding spar. Yunmu replies that he will not give it to him. He is clearly forced to buy and sell. The Elder replies that they can rob it from him easily. He launches the Great Flame Array attack on Yunmu. Those fireballs are really hot. The viewers there are awestruck to see the great flame formation of the Chaotian sect. They remember that it was not long ago when Yunmu was hit in this small, confined space. The Elder tells Yunmi that it is quite flexible and asks if he plans to hide for the rest of his life. He advises him to give him the sacrament and go. Yunmu asks if his sect likes to trap people so much. He thinks it is annoying and asks if his other did not tell him not to play with the fire toys. He smirks and says if they like to play with fire, he will play along with them. He uses his Chaotian Great Flame art that he recently learned. The formation is on fire now, and the string pressure has suddenly become so strong. Yunmu brags and asks the old man to look closely at how he breaks his barrier, but that formation absorbs his attack, and he fails. The Chaotian sect men laugh at him and say it is just thunder and a little rain. They thought it would be a decisive move. Yunmu grabs his head and feels ashamed. His attack was supposed to get him out. He wants to die because of the embarrassment. He calls the system and asks if it does not say that this technique has been perfected but is still useless. The system counter-questions him if he thinks it is possible to drown water with water. Yunmu does not get his meaning. The system tells him that the formation and his attack are initially from the same root, so they cannot attack each other. The Elder tells him not to waste his time. He again attacks him with the Great Flame Array attack. Yunmu takes the attack on his chest and wonders if it did not cause any pain. Instead, he just absorbed it. Even the older man is surprised to see his attack getting absorbed by Yunmu. He wonders if his body is elemental. Yunmu now understands what the system was trying to make him understand. He smiles and starts absorbing the energy of the formation. The Elder asks him what his skill is and if it is the same as the skill of the Chaotian sect. He says if Yunmu does not explain, he will not let him go today. Suddenly, Sister Shuang appears at his back and says his system of attracting trouble is still the same. She is seeing him after a long and asks how he is doing recently. While this conversation continues, King comes running and screams Yunmu's name. Yunmu looks back, and King grabs him by the collar. He asks how many good things Yunmu wants to spoil for him. He says he will make him pay with his blood. Suddenly, the Elder sees the jade pendant hanging from Yunmu's pocket. He grabs King's hand, pushes him back, and asks how he can be so presumptuous. He bows his head before Yunmu and says he has found the master. Yunmu wonders what he's talking about. The men from his sect cannot believe their elder is bowing to that boy. King asks his teacher what is going on here. The teacher orders King to kneel down and call Yunmu a master. He yells that he will not do it as he has killed his men and ruined him. His teacher looks at him furiously and orders him again to kneel down and call him master. Then, he forcefully makes him bow before Yunmu. The elder says he did not expect Yunmu to be the ancestor. They were too reckless and apologize for it now. Yunmu asks what he is talking about. The elder replies that the jade pendant around his waist is proof of his identity. Yunmu looks at that pendant. He tells the elder everything about what happened to him in that cave. It all makes sense now. He says that their ancestor traveled worldwide to practice Kaoyang's great flame art back then, but he never returned after that. He says he did not expect that he had completed his sect's secret technique. Yunmu was also not expecting that the senior and that gorilla would turn out to be from the Kaoyang sect. The elder kneels before him and says that since Yunmu is holding the jade pendant of the ancestor, then he is the ancestor from now. He requests him to come with him to his sect and teach them how to complete the Kaoyang great flame art. Yunmu says he does not want it. He would never help King, not even in his dreams. Wings yells back and asks if he really thinks he would accept Yunmu, his ancestor. He challenges him that if he thinks him great, he should go to the universe war and compare with him. He adds that Yunmu was just a few minutes earlier than him, and he turned out to be arrogant like this. Yunmu makes the victory sign and says he will not go there. He has no reason to go there. In addition, King said Yunmu was only a few minutes faster than him. He tells him he entered the tower a full day later than everyone. The elder tells King not to behave this way with his elders, but he grinds his teeth and says he will kill him one day. Shuang tosses a drink to Yunmu. She opens her cane and says he was very arrogant just now. He does not give any face to the sect that is among the best among the young and middle-aged in China. He replies that no one told them to come to mess with him first. He is a person who will have vengeance. He asks her if she knows why it was still notified even when he had hidden his ranking. She replies that once he passes the 70th floor, he will be qualified to participate in the World War, and what he hides is only the honor of ranking, which will still be notified. He says he is not an idiot who would go to the World War. It is too troublesome. She agrees and says it is better not to go. The whole universe war this year is too big. She feels it must be cloudy. He says he wants to return to Jiefeng City to find Xing and Nuoji. He asks her if she wants to join him. Everyone misses her so much. She says she will meet them in a while, but for now, she has to prepare for the World War. At the Jiefeng courtyard, the teacher cleans the board after the class ends. Yunmu appears at the door and asks himself how to wipe the blackboard. Back then, he forced Yunmu to help him wipe the blackboard. The teacher was surprised after hearing his voice. He tosses the duster to him. Yunmu catches it and says in the end, he is the only one used to him. The teacher says Yunmu has been out for so long and is finally back. He asks why Yunmu is looking for him. While cleaning the board, he replies that he has been wild long enough. He definitely has to come to see him immediately. The teacher looks at him and says he seems to be getting taller. Yunmu asks if it is not good to grow tall. He adds that it will be more convenient to help him clean the blackboard. He tells him there seems to be something wrong with the Earth recently. The transmission array cannot be used easily, which is very troublesome. He cleans his hands after cleaning the board. The teacher tells him that recently, there has been a space crack from a very powerful force. The transmission array is also affected by cracks, resulting in its instability. Yunmu asks what is in the cracks. The teacher replies he does not know either. Yunmu changes the topic and asks if ruin number 7 is still open. The teacher replies that it is on. Freshmen are still training there. He asks what the matter is. He replies that he has time and wants to train there. The teacher asks him if he does not think he is strong enough. He is already the best of this generation of young people. Yunmu replies that it is always good to be stronger. The teacher asks why he is forcing himself too much. While lying on his bed at night, he still thinks about what the teacher told him when he left his room. He said he knew what happened to his father made him reluctant to trust others. It made him feel like he was the only one who would not abandon himself, so he would work hard to make himself stronger. He refused to rely on others when he encountered anything, so he carried it all silently by himself. But that was before. Now he has a group of life and death partners with him. He said that no matter how strong a person is, some things cannot be done alone. So, he must let himself have a rest. He advised him to trust his partners and control another person according to Sin. On the other hand, the teacher gets a call about his secret device at this time of the night. He walks towards that walkie-talkie to reply. It says that the codename Night Dog is assigned a new mission. He is ordered to set off immediately. The teacher picks up his mask and confirms that he has received the message. The teacher climbs the catapult building secretly. He listens to someone talking behind the window. The speaker is King, and he is asking someone to help him. The person he is talking to is unknown. He replies that he did not refuse to help King and asks why he is in a hurry. King says that Yunmu killed his lover and robbed his holy weapon. He would not let him go. Sitting on the chair and wearing a hoodie, that anonymous person tells him not to worry. He says their business is now mutual as QNG has allied with him. The teacher hears the conversation and thinks the organization's guess is correct. King is plotting something, but the teacher wonders who the other person is. The hoodie guy laughs and tells King to be patient. He promises him that Yunmu will die as soon as he comes to the war. The teacher is shocked that their target is Yunmu in the world battle. He decides to notify the organization immediately, but a blast happens at the window before he can do so. He has been found. King jumps out the window and asks what the little mouse is doing here. He yells that he will take his life. He uses his Fire of Prometheus technique to attack the little mouse. The teacher replies that if King is Prometheus, he is Zeus. He will lock him in jail again. He attacks King with his Thunderheart technique. That hoodie guy comes there smiling and says it seems the String Players Guild is noticing him, which is troublesome. The Guardian of the Night is sent out to spy on him. He adds that the Guardian must not be allowed to leave alive. Otherwise, it will be bad for him. King and the Guardian are fighting. King realizes that his opponent's strength is stronger than his, and he cannot deal with him. The Night Guardian uses a Thunder Fist attack to take out King, but he counterattacks to defend himself. The Guardian uses a Thunder Chain this time, giving him a high voltage shock. Suddenly, the hoodie guy appears at his back and says he is worthy of being one of the most vital Guardians of the Night. The Thundering Night Dog really deserves his reputation. He makes a surprise attack on him and throws him to the ground in one shot. The Guardian's mask falls away. He is injured as that hoodie guy's attack was brutal. That guy smirks and tells the Guardian that he must die today for a great cause. The Guardian asks him who he is. The Guardian replies that he will not let him die with this question. He takes off his hoodie. The teacher recognizes him. That guy sits there on the wall and laughs. The following morning, Yunmu brushes his teeth after waking up. He did not have such a peaceful sleep for a long time. Suddenly, his friend knocks at his door and asks him to open it as something terrible has happened. Yunmu opens the door and asks why he is screaming in the morning, but he forgets to breathe after hearing what he has been told. The brush falls off his mouth. He loses his state and asks him again what he said. The students are gathered in the hall where they have brought a dead body. The doctor reads the report and says that the deceased suffered inhuman abuse before his death. His eyes were poached away, and his ribs were almost all broken. The tendons of the hands and feet were also picked, and even the right leg was missing. Yunmu hears all this with an absent mind while the other students show their sad reactions. Nuoji asks who performed this brutality. The doctor says that while examining the corpse of the deceased, they found this chain in his right hand. Yunmu rushes and takes that chain off his hands. The doctor asks him not to touch that as this will be sent to the evidence room. Yunmu remembers that he had seen this chain on King's neck. He runs away while screaming that he will kill King. His friends wonder what has happened to him. Xing runs after him and throws him to the ground to stop him. He inquires what he wants to do. He adds that Yunmu always remains calm, so why is he behaving like a crazy guy right now? Yunmu keeps yelling that he will kill King and asks Xing to let him go. Xing tells him that the necklace does not explain anything at all. He asks if Yunmu thinks the Kaoitan sect will hand over King as a result. Yunmu replies that, in this case, he will wash the entire sect with blood. Xing says that if he wants to, he will accompany him. Then he asks if he thinks the only two can do this alone. Even if they succeed, what will happen after that? How can they explain to the String Players Guild that they slaughter a sect for no reason? Yunmu does not have any answers. He is helpless, so he starts screaming. He goes to the Vega city to visit their lord. She says she was not expecting him to come and take the initiative to find her. Then she asks why he is here. He tells her that he wants to participate in the World War. She draws the curtain and shows her face. Then she asks if she can know why he changed his mind. Instead of answering, he asks if killing someone accidentally in this kind of game is reasonable. She takes it lightly, smiles, and calls him a funny kid. Yunmu repeats his question and asks if it is okay if he kills someone during the game. She laughs softly and replies she does not care what the reason is. She wants to know if he is motivated to go to the war. But seeing him like this, she can say this motivation is enough. She adds that most of the participants in the World War go in groups of 2 and ask if Yunmu wants one person with him. He replies that he can do it alone. In the evening, he wanders in the corridor of the school. He goes by the classroom where he met the teacher yesterday, but it is empty now. Suddenly, he hears the voice of his senior calling him. He is coming from the other side and asks Yunu when he returns. He says that it's been a long time since he saw him. He asks if he wants to have a drink with him. He replies that not now. He leaves that place without saying anything. Yunu goes to the rooftop. He starts recalling all the memories that he and his teacher had there. He starts remembering all his advice, punishment, and care toward him. That guy was like a father to him. All those thoughts bring tears to his eyes, and he starts crying silently. Xing appears instantly and tells him to cry out if he wants to cry, as he does not need to act cool. Yunmu tells him that he has asked the city lord of the Vega city to recommend him to join in the world war. He must kill King even if he has to do it alone. Xing says Yunmu can do this. He suddenly realizes the teacher's advice that he must try to trust his friends. He asks Xing to help him in his cause. Xing first looks at him, who has asked an unbelievable question, and then says he is going now. Yunmu asks where he is going. He replies that he is going to climb the tower. Yunmu has fallen asleep while reading a book. The system starts informing him that he has a new star news and he must connect to the system right now. He wakes up and opens the system. It is that kid on the call that sold him a broken page. He calls him Big Brother and asks if he remembers him. He reminds him that they have met in the underground black market. He wonders if it is inconvenient for the eldest brother to go to the black market again. Yunmu is confused. He goes there and is surprised to see the holy water of life. The kid gave it to him. He asks the kid where he got it from. The boy giggles and says he got it from an old man recently. On his last visit here, he remembered that Yunmu was looking for the holy water of life. Yunmu smiles and replies that it is a big help. He asks him the price of it. The kid smiles with his eyes closed and tells him it is free as he saves his brother's life. He says he has lived here since he was a child, and he is so familiar with everything here. He says if Yunmu has anything to inquire about, he can. The boy will not charge him at all. Then he bids goodbye and leaves. Yunmu tries to stop him, but he does not. He looks at that kid going away and admires his patience, as it must be hard to live there. Yunmu comes to the Temple of War and knocks at the gates. A guard looks upside down and asks him who he is, as an ordinary person cannot come here. Yunmu shows his invitation letter to this place, introduces himself, and says he is here to see his parents. Suddenly the door opens, and he is allowed to enter. He wonders to see the Temple of War as it is opposite to his imagination and unexpectedly simple. The guard asks him to follow him. They say it is close to the venue. After a while, they drag him to the test hall. He asks them to let him go as he is not here to take the test but to see someone. They say that since he came here with the invitation letter, he is the man of the Temple of the God of War. Testing him is essential. Yunmu punches them with his thunder fist. He tells them they asked for this all by themselves as they do not listen to the people. As the smoke clears, those two guards appear safe and sound as they do not get any hurt from his attack. Yunmu is stunned that even the gatekeepers here are so strong they took his thunder punch so easily. It is terrible. Suddenly, General Qin Feng comes there and asks who is creating disturbance here. He calls it outrageous. After the general appears, a man comes in a wheelchair and asks Fenf why he ran away before the chess was played. Yunmu is shocked to see that old guy as he is his father. He asks him why he is so leisurely here. He also looks familiar with others. He asks why a commoner like him can know the general. His father replies that General Qin and he have been friends for many years. He asks Yunmu what he is doing here. Yunmu tosses the tube of holy water in his lap and tells him to drink it so he can walk in real life. As his father drinks the water, his legs grow back. He starts kicking and says it is really comfortable to use his own legs. Yunmu says his work there has ended so he will draw first. He tells his father to say hello to his mother and sister. Feng asks him if he does not want to take a test in his God of War temple. He replies that he does not want, not at least yet. He has participated in the whole world war on behalf of Vega City. It will be troublesome if he joins the God of War temple now. They ask him where he is going next. He replies that there is still a month before the world war, and he will find special training in the Dark Realm. This time, he has to be careful in the world war. His father tells him that places like the Dark Realm can only improve the combat skills of dimensional beasts. It does not help to improve the combat skills of people. He asks if he wants his father to help in training well. Xing goes to the city lord's mansion of the Vega City. He bends his head in front of her and requests her to recommend him to world war and teach him how to become stronger. She wonders that the eldest son of the Jiang family, the wealthiest man in Chengteng Jiafeng City, actually knelt before an outsider and prayed. She asks where he lost the pride of the Jiang family. He replies that he has to help someone, and his pride is worthless in front of that friend. He cannot be his reliable helper right now, so he has to become stronger. He allows her to do whatever she wants to do. She replies that her training will be hard. He has to keep up. Every day, Lingchen starts special training at 3 o'clock, and it does not wait for those who are late. Xin thanked her for accepting his request. At the God of War temple, a guy passes by a road when he sees a rush there. He asks a boy what is happening here. He replies that a little boy outside is fighting with the men of the war temple and has already defeated 4. That was quite surprising for him. He looks in the direction where Yunmu is fighting. Yunmu looks at his opponent, who has the ice attributes. He wonders if the ice attribute has the power of strings. He also thinks that the temple of this station is indeed a crouching tiger, a hidden dragon, and the string force is as much as standard. But since it is ice, there is nothing to be afraid of. He uses Koei in Great Flame Art and attacks with karmic fire. The fire throws that guy away. His father is amazed to see his thunder and fire techniques and says it is really complicated. He wonders where he learned it from. Feng tells Yunmu's father that his son is not simple. He has a super level qualification. His father disagrees and says his qualifications are simply the lowest level. He asks if there is a way to change the fate against the sky in this world. Yunmu brags and asks Feng if this is the strength of the war temple. He asks who is his next competitor. That guy who asked about the crowd hears this and pulls his sleeves up to get into the fight. But he stops when he sees Yunmu's father saying he will accompany him in the fight as he has become arrogant. Yunmu asks him what he is trying to do. His father replies that he has not moved for too long. Now he will play with Yunmu. He tells him to stop making trouble as he has not woken up. His father asks what if he has not woken up. He tells Yunmu that he relies too much on string force. Yunmu makes a long face and tells him not to blame him for breaking his old bones. His father replies that he is impatient to wait. Yunmu rushes to attack him. His father admits that Yunmu is pretty fast. Yunmu approaches him from behind. He is just about to throw a punch at him. Feng looks at them, laughs, and says this level of kid is too easy for his friend as he is called the strongest unawakened man. His father grabs him by the neck and blocks his attack. Only his defense makes Yunmu bleed. His father sits on his back after throwing him on the ground. Yunmu gives up immediately and reminds his father that he is his own son and he does not need to beat him to death. That random guy wonders who that uncle is as he cannot feel his string force. Still, he could beat the kid so hard that he could not fight back. Yunmu's father smirks and asks him how he is doing now and how it feels to be defeated by an inducer. He adds that it must be very unconvincing. Feng joins them and says Yunmu does not need to take it to heart. He says that even he cannot guarantee that he will win from this old fox. He tells Yunmu not to look at his father's virtue now. He got all of this when he was young. However, he became the chief instructor of the God of War temple by relying on physical skills alone. His death asks Yunmu if he wants to accept his death training. He says it will be hard work and Yunmu might die. Poor Yunmu is in a fix now and cannot even say no. At Vega City's dark domain, the city lord is training Xin by fighting the Ghost King. Xin watches and wonders about her strength, who easily subdues the king-level Ghost King. The shadow replacement she gets from the king's ghost gives it to Xin and orders him to take it to study. He asks her what that thing is. She replies that he should do what she says without asking superfluous things if he wants to be stronger. A month has passed, and the participants gather at the Black Dragon Island. A lot of big names and famous faces are present there already. They are the representative of the 6 major forces. The representative of the sky-breaking castle is a young kid with blue hair. He wonders if there will be someone who will make people shine this year. The representative of the God War Temple, Feng, replies and tells him not to worry. He promises him that there will be a good seedling this year. The representative of the Holy Heavenly Sect says that he hopes there will be a good show to watch. The representative, Dao Lin, comments on his point that he is sure he knows something already. The representative of the Sea God Temple, an old man with gray hair, joins them and says, of course, that guy knows something. After all, there are also people from the Temple of the War God this year. The representative of the Barbarian Temple, a red-skinned monstrous guy, asks if there is anyone from the Temple of War God. He says if this is true, then this year will not be boring. Feng interrupts them and says he did not mention that good seedlings would be from his temple. After a while, some famous players start arriving there. First, the Zhangju swordsman arrives. People are surprised to see that they were not expecting the master swordsman to come in person because he was a person at the level of a saint of war. After that, the giant king of Hong Manju comes there. He seems rageful and yells at people to make way for him. Then a big bird appears in the sky. It is the ice bird carrying the snow maiden of the ice place, Yigangsu. That blue-haired guy laughs and asks if even people are in the ice palace. Then they notice some movement in the water. Suddenly, a big fish emerges from the water, and its rider is the Sea Clan's saint, Heiyu. Kaoitan Sexy King has reached the island. The giant king says that everyone who should be there has arrived, so they must start. Feng asks them to wait a minute. He says they will miss much fun if they do not wait for the kid to come on that boat. Viga City's representative, Lai Yunmu, is here now. He looks around and wonders why Xing has not arrived yet. The registration before the game has begun, but Xing is still not here. Yunmu says how Xing could be so unreliable. Suddenly he looks at King, who is being registered now, and wonders if the rumor about him returning to the normal crystal a month ago was false. Seeing his power now shows that he has leveled up himself. Yunmu has only one thing on his mind: he wants King's blood to compensate. It is Yunmu's turn to register. As he places his hand on the ball, it does not show his rank. The registrar announces that he is not eligible to participate. People around there laugh and make fun of him as he is just a common crystal and has come to participate. They say they had heard about a celebrity being here in the arena and thought he would be powerful, but it all seems just a rumor as he is a common crystal. The city lord of Viga City interrupts and says it should not matter if Yunmu is just a common crystal. His deeds have already proved his ability to participate in the world war. King smirks and replies that rules are rules. It is agreed that one can participate in the world war only after he passes through the 70th floor of the Tower of the Glory and reaches above the golden crystal. He asks if Yunmu can violate the rules that everyone abides by because he is a war saint. The city lord is about to say something, but Yunmu stops her there. He asks King, who says he will break the rules. He thinks and says that it looks like King's level is rainbow crystal. He asks everyone to look at him. Then suddenly, he starts raising his level. He goes to the silver crystal level first. Then immediately, he reaches the golden string level. He does not stop there and breaks the third level and goes to the rainbow crystal level. Feng looks at him, who reaches the rainbow crystal level in one breath, and says this deed can be written into a textbook-level legend. Yunmu addresses King and asks if he has something else to say. He goes near King and asks if he wants to see him continue to break through. But then, there is no point in killing him. He passes by him, saying that he knows what King did and he will make him pay for it with his life. The registrar asks if someone is left to register, as this is almost the time to start. Yunmu is standing by the rock alone and wonders why Xing has not arrived yet. He angrily thinks that if he does not show up on time, Yunmu will blow him up. Suddenly, a helicopter appears in the sky, and Xing jumps out of it on the ground. He takes off his hood, and he is also here to register on behalf of Viga City. Yunmu is glad to see him but still tells him he is late. He apologizes to him and says that he went to the tower and did not pay attention to the time and accidentally broke through. Xing registers himself. He has reached the rainbow crystal level as well. Yunmu says that he has not seen him for a month, and he changed a lot. He not only rose to rainbow crystal but also, his hair was cut short. Xing laughs and says it is inconvenient to practice with long hair in the dark realm. Suddenly, Zai surprises Yunmu when she hugs him from behind. Yunmu asks her why she is here. She replies that Nuoji asked her to team up with her to represent Tianyun Castle. He says he did not expect them to team up. Then, King Yu appears at his back and comments that flowers really surround him. She looks offended. Yunmu waves at her and walks towards her. He asks her how she is doing as he sees her after a long time. She replies that she is not bad. Because of his recommendation, she has taken over the position of the city lord of her dad for the time being. But those smelly old men told her they did not need her help and withdrew the Acropolis to him. After a while, an old man with purple hair starts addressing and says the ground is full of youth and vitality. Everyone looks in the direction from where the voice is coming. The voice is of the chairman of the Stringer Guild, Lord Todd. He welcomes all the players to participate in the 54th War. As the competition organizer, he wishes every player the best results. He is looking at the lines he wrote on his hand, but some of the words are removed, and he starts stuttering. Everyone wonders what is wrong with him. He leaves the speech and says it is rare for everyone to meet, so they should make a scene with all their shoulders. He officially started the 54th World War. The participants seem energetic and happy as the war has finally started. The Lord starts the first test. He uses his power, and suddenly everyone's string force is gone. Yunmu tells him that the old man has just activated some kind of ability, and the string force of all of them has been suppressed. The Lord announces that the first test will be the physical combat test, which begins now. He opens the gate of the devil in the ground. Yunmu looks at the chairman's ability, which is the spatial power method, and says it is beyond logic and above reason. The chairman says that there is a beast with claws inside this door. This is the most ferocious in the rainbow crystal stage. Their first test is to enter the door and kill the dimensional beasts. It is in the absence of any string force. Their bodies and skills will be the basis of their battle. Once they enter the door, it is up to them whether they are dead or alive. He gives them a minute to think about it. He tells them to decide whether to continue participating in the World War. He asks the White Shark Gate Gu Tancheng if he wants to be the first tester. He replies, of course. The other contestant looks at him with admiration as he is the strongest newcomer in Giant Whale City, which is one of the 3 great sea cities. They believe a strong person like him can pass the test easily. He smirked as he entered the gate to see the barbarian claw beast inside it. The Lord opens a screen to see what is happening inside the gate. Some boys say there is nothing to see as Gu Tancheng can relax inside, but their mouths shut when they see Tancheng has been killed. Most participants are now scared after seeing that guy who was the best among them. They start running away as they do not want to play after this view. Their lives are more important than this world war. The Lord laughs at those runners and says they are a group of stupid kids who only know how to rely on string force. Suddenly the Lord sees Yunmu standing among those players. He did not know that his young star general was also competing this year. 6 players have tried, and all of them have died. Most of the remaining players are thinking of withdrawing as well. The Lord Todd is getting bored now and wonders if there is any good player this year. He addresses Yunmu and asks him if he accepts the challenge. Yunmu replies that he does. He enters the gate. After seeing the monster with his eyes, he realizes it is gigantic. He does not know how fast it is. As soon as the monster sees him, he starts growling and attacks him. But Yunmu jumps and escapes the attack. That overexcited representative is now enjoying, and this one seems interesting to him. Yunmu is dodging the monster's attack. It is unexpected to him that such a vast body has such speed. But if he compares it with his father's speed, the monster is not even near him. Yunmu runs towards the monster. He starts going up towards his head and then hits him on his face. He actually shakes that behemoth with his own strength. Then he jumps over his head and breaks one of his horns. Then he stabs his skull with his own horn and kills the behemoth. The viewers are stunned to see that he is the first to kill that beast with his own strength. Yunmu completes the challenge successfully. After that, King also completed it. Yunmu's friends and some other famous players also cleared that stage. Xing is glad to see that all his friends are safe. Yunmu replies that there is nothing to look at now. He tells Xing to go to the other side and wait for the results. Suddenly he hears the name of Kaoshan Sex Zhao Zifen and becomes shocked. He was unaware that guy was here too. Lord Todd announces the results of the first stage and says more than half of the people are directly missing. The rest of the players have proved they can still fight in extremely harsh environments. They are also eligible to enter the second round of testing. He tells them about the magic pavilion that is the venue of the second round of testing. If the players are not careful in this test, they will definitely die. He says they still have a minute to think about it, and those who do not want to participate still have a chance to leave. But they can step over that door if they consciously decide to gamble their lives. The players who choose to play further enter the door. Xing complains to Yunmu that this corridor is really deep, but it looks like a small house from the outside. Yunmu replies that the president seems to be from the space department. He thinks they have now entered the space that the president created. After walking for a while, they finally come to an end and find a big door. The giant barbarian opens the door. It is cold inside. Yunmu looks at that stone statue and wonders what this strange thing is. It has a human face, but the rest of the body is like a snake's. Sister Shuang tells Yunmu that this is the Snake Witch and Banshee statue. Before she tells him what this is for, someone screams and tells them that the statue has opened her eyes. Suddenly, some rays emit from her eyes. With that, the players start falling and become unconscious. After they all become unconscious, the president comes there and says they all are welcome to the second round of the test and have a good sleep. But they may never return if they are not careful in their sleep. Yunmu opens his eyes and finds he is in a rainforest. He thinks that that stone statue has sent him here. Suddenly, he sees Linglong sitting on his shoulder, telling him that she sensed the source of power. That is there over that strange mountain. So he starts running in that direction. Conversely, the president walks among those bodies and wonders why no one has woken up yet, as it has been so long. Suddenly, he sees a player waking up and trying to sit. He congratulates the Saint of the Sea Clan as she is the first to pass the test. It took her 10 minutes to do it. After some time, the other players start to wake up as well. Even Xing wakes up after 15 minutes. It seems to Sister Shuang that everyone is almost awake. She says that the difficulty of this level was not bad. But then she looks at Yunmu, who has still not woken up. His friends are worried and do not know what to do as Yunmu is not up even after spending so much time. King U moves forward to shake him as she is worried, but Xing asks everyone not to touch him. He says that if anyone touches him casually, he will fall into soul hell. They cannot help him. He is all by himself. Yunmu is still running but cannot reach that mountain even if it is right before him. Suddenly he sees something. It is a tree with a mark on it. He has seen it before and wonders if he is going in circles. He starts running faster. 5 minutes later, he sees the same tree, but he keeps running. Even 20 minutes later, he still sees that tree on his way. He gets tired and sits in front of that tree after that. He starts yelling as he is mentally exhausted now. It is like he is trapped in a hell. This tree seems annoying now, so he picks a stone and hits the tree with it. But then he gets scared when that tree suddenly disappears. He tries to touch that place to confirm if it really disappeared. He does not know what is happening here, so he tries to confirm his theory. He hits another tree, and it disappears as well. Now he is sure that he was not teleported to a certain space. This is his own spiritual world or, instead, his own dream. In other words, he has created this world. He now knows that there is nothing to be afraid of here. Then he grabs that weird mountain using his mind power. He tries to pull it towards him, but it resists his will. Yunmu says that it does not belong here then. He lifts it and then changes it into bubbles. Then he finds something hidden inside it. It is a metal scale, but he does not know what it does. Linglong suggests that this could be the scale of the snake statue. She gets inside it. Yunmu asks her what she is doing. Suddenly he cannot feel her presence anymore. His connection with her has broken. Suddenly he wakes up and his head is hurting. Xing tells him that he has been sleeping for more than half an hour and he thought Yunmu would never wake up again. He helps him to stand. Yunmu asks him what is happening here. Xing replies that the second round of testing has ended and the others have already gone to the third round. Yunmu says that they must hurry as well. Suddenly, Xing stabs him in the back and tells him to go to hell. Yunmu wonders why Xing is doing this. Yunmu grabs the blade and breaks it. He turns towards Xing and asks if he has done something wrong to him. He throws that broken sword away, laughs, and tells him that Yunmu is too annoying. He tells him that Xing has seen him unhappy since he first entered Jiefeng City courtyard. He adds that everyone hates him, but he looks like he has nothing to eat, which makes people angry when they see it. He took the initiative to approach him, just to find an opportunity to solve him. It just so happened that King threw out an alliance invitation to him. If Xing helps King kill Yunmu, King will make the Zhan family a superior sect. He says he has one more thing to tell him. He also killed Teacher Brown. He asks if Yunmu really thinks that King could do that alone. He points the gun towards him and asks why he is showing sad expressions. He also asks how Yunmu can think of him as his best friend. He is the son of the wealthiest man, and he would never be friends with people like him. Then he says it is almost time to send Yunmu on the road. But Yunmu starts laughing after hearing him. Xing asks what he is laughing at. Yunmu replies that he is such a stupid fake. Xiao replies he is not a fake. Yunmu tells him that Xing never calls him by his name. He always calls him Xiao Mumu. Second, he might be able to fool Yunmu by pretending to be someone else, but Xing is the only one who cannot do it. That guy is someone who makes Yunmu trust him unconditionally. He says that all this fake can be the second dreamland. He has not woken up yet. As he says that, the fake Xing turns into bubbles. With that, his eyes open, and he sits with a jolt, wondering if this is a dream or a reality. But then he sees all his friends playing cards and realizes he is back to reality. He walks towards them and says they all are leisurely, and none of them cares about his life or death at all. Xing says if there is anything to worry about, he will definitely not have a problem. Now they all are awake. They should go to the side and wait for the trial to end. Xing pats his back. Yunmu looks at him and says he is scaring him by doing that. Yunmu looks at the statue in which cracks are appearing. Then, it breaks instantly. The Lord is surprised to see the broken statue. He says that it seems someone has fallen into the second dream and has successfully woken up. And that kid has also taken the spirit scale. He asks who that guy is. Yunmu boggles at this but does not answer. He thinks that the scale he got is the source of the power of this stone statue. The Lord let it go after a while. He asks everyone to gather around him. He says that as the stone statue has broken, those who have not woken up will always be in a dream. He congratulates everyone who has successfully passed the second test. He adds that the last test will be conducted tomorrow. From now on, everyone can go and take a rest. While lying in his room, Yunmu looks at the scale and wonders what this scale can do and why Linglong got in without hesitation. After getting in, her connection with him was completely disconnected. Xing comes out of the bathroom and tells him he can go now. He tells him it is best to eat something before washing, but he does not care about Yunmu if he faints. Yunmu says he wants to eat noodles. While Yunmu is eating noodles, the city lord visits them. Sheng asks her what she is doing here so late. She replies that tomorrow is their final test. She thinks it is time to tell them the real purpose of the World War. Sheng asks what she means by that. She says they should have discovered that this year's World War differs from previous years. Not only is there no restriction on candidates, but it is not like the dual system in previous years. Instead, the promotion method of testing was adopted. This is because a space crack has appeared. Sheng asks what is that. Yunmu is busy eating his noodles and does not participate in the conversation. She asks them if they know the highest level of string player. Sheng says, isn't it the Saint of War? She replies that it is not completely wrong to say that. This is indeed the case for the Earth's environment. According to records, a stringer accidentally discovered a space crack 100 years ago. Inside the crack is a powerful secret realm that does not belong to this world. Some things do not belong to the Earth, and experts cannot find the purpose of these things. One day, the stringer who entered the crack was promoted to the rank of the Saint of War, and what he took out from the crack released huge energy. Then he surpassed the level of War Saint. Yunmu has finished eating, and he closes the lid of the cup. The Lord keeps going on. She tells them that the main purpose of this all-world war is to select candidates to enter the cracks in space. She says that this is a rare opportunity. Space cracks will only appear once in 100 years. People have never waited for the cracks to open in their lives. Yunmu enters the conversation and asks if it all means that she wants them to get what is inside the crack. He says that since the things in the cracks are so important, she can get them by herself. She replies that the cracks between the two sides are very unstable. Once the person who crosses the crack reaches the level above the rainbow crystal, they will tear each other due to the strong string force and the energy between the cracks. The cracks will tear apart the whole person. This trip is hazardous, and she says she will not force them to go, but they have to know that it is not just to help her. It is also for their own future. She gives them something closed in a glass container. She says it is for them and may be useful if they decide to step into the crack. The following morning, all the players gather on the ground. The Lord Todd comes there and greets them. All the other representatives are accompanying him as well. He asks why everyone's eyes are so anxious. He says he will announce the last test now. They have to go inside this cave. He says there are no restrictions on the way through the cave as long as they can walk out of the other end alive. There are no rules at all. Everything that happens inside is allowed, including killing the people who they think are in the way. This was shocking to hear for the contestants. The Lord says that if they are not better than another person, they will be eaten alive by others. He only wants to choose a truly powerful leader. It is just like raising a cub. He offers them 3 minutes to think about it. If someone wants to leave, they can. He will meet the survivors on the other side of the cave. The players start whispering and discussing with each other. All of them want the final reward. Some consider it inhuman and say they do not want to play. Yunmu sees King and his partner going inside the cave. Shing asks Yunmu if he wants to go in or wants to wait a little longer. Yunmu says he feels that it has many high-level dimensional beasts, which is quite tricky. He says that he, Sister Shuang, and Xing will go ahead to explore the way. Kingu, Nuoji, and Zai's combat power is weak, so they can wait for a while outside before entering. Yunmu and others will try to kill as many dimensional beasts as possible to relieve the pressure on them. But they must be careful as the most dangerous thing is not the dimensional beast but people. Nuoji agrees with the plan. Xing looks at him smiling and thinks his little Yunmu does not know yet, but he has become a good conductor. Yunmu tells his friend that the next step is the last and requests them not to die on the way. With this, those three enter the cave. After entering the cave, they see the corpses of beasts around there. Yunmu says that the dimensional beasts there are not simple. They are all above the golden crystal. Sister Shuang tells them to be careful as she feels unusual breath in front of them. They can hear the screams of someone coming from inside. They all get scared. After a while, they see a gigantic dragon growling before them. They see the dead players there and find this thing troublesome. Xing is sure that they cannot get rid of this beast. Zai, Nuoji, and Kingu enter the cave later. Zai says it is cold and gloomy inside, which is annoying. They cannot see clearly due to darkness. Suddenly, a player hiding in the dark attacks them, seeing that they all are girls. Zai takes out her blade and kills him instantly before he harms any of them. Nuoji says that she did not expect her to be so decisive. Zai tells her never to leave any chance for her enemies to counterattack. That is what Yunmu taught her. She says Nuoji does not have this awareness and asks if she still wants to stand by him. She clarifies that Nuoji is not the only one who wants to stand by Yunmu. This makes her angry. She starts yelling at her and asks who she thinks she is. They both start fighting each other over that guy. Zai asks if she wants to compare with her. She says she likes him more than Nuoji and cannot beat her regarding enlightenment and mind. Yunmu and others see other players fighting the dragon on the other side. He thinks that hard steel will not work against the dragon, but he cannot find Yi King's corpse here. It means there must be other ways to pass through. Xing uses his power to see through and says there is an exit behind the dragon. In other words, they just need to find a way to cross this dragon. There is no need to defeat it at all. Yunmu says that if that is the case, it is easy to do it for him. He goes near the beast and says although he cannot get rid of it, it might still take a bit of effort for the dragon to kill him. The dragon starts roaring and is about to shoot fire. Yunmu says if he still wants to play with fire, he should hold his back and hit the gun's muzzle. He uses the technique of Kaoyang's great flame, so even the dragon's flame cannot kill him as they both are fire now. He walks through the fire and asks if the dragon cannot let people finish talking. He says he has not spoken all the words yet. A good opportunity to pretend